Alright guys, how we doing today? I'm your Emperor, the Crown Fiend, and today we are doing What If Deku was the reincarnation of Adam from Record of Ragnarok. Now, this is going to contain a good amount of manga spoilers for the Record of Ragnarok series, as its anime has not debuted yet. So yeah, this is your only warning. I'm going to give you a couple seconds, click off this video, so you have until after the intro gets done rolling to click off this video if you don't want to be spoiled. So, with that out of the way, let's play this shit. Alright, welcome back guys. After that, I'm assuming the guys of you who are sticking around here are the people that want to watch this. So, before we jump into this, let me give you guys a quick little recap over what has been going on with this series. So, what has been going on with this series in particular is that I was originally going to release this a long time ago. This was supposed to come out after Nico Style, and instead you got Adam Dudley. But this got put on hold because, for one, Finisher was planning to do a Adam series of his, and we talked about it, and we decided to put it out same day, same time. So when you see this, he should have his Adam video linked out, and it's for his 2K special. So we kind of set this up to help celebrate Finisher's 2,000 subscriber special. He is one that honestly helped my channel grow back in the day when I had just 100 subs. That's crazy to think about now, but yeah, that was the case back then. And yeah, also before we get into this, right about now, you should be seeing the thumbnail for the 8K special. Now, this is what we're going to be doing when we get to 8,000 subscribers. So, yeah, I hope you guys are looking forward to that. And without further ado, let's get into this what if. So, where we start this what if is right when Izuku is born, like immediately after he is born. So, Inko's still in the hospital. Hisashi's there as Deku is born with blonde hair and shiny blue eyes, as Deku's not actually crying, not like a normal child. Oh no, he's actually just normal. He kind of just smiles, as the doctors all think this is rather peculiar. This is very weird. They have never seen something like this before. But hey, they're not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth with this. So ultimately they decide that it's cool, just whatever. As all Deku's vitals are coming back normal, as of course Hisashi's just hoping his child is alright. As they take Deku back home, as Deku grows up and a couple years pass. Deku is now 5 years old. He's out there with Bakugo as they're arguing about their powers, their quirks, as Deku's not really arguing too much with Bakugo, more as he's just trying to get Bakugo to shut up. As Bakugo just tells Deku that whatever type of power that Deku gets, that Bakugo is going to have a stronger one, that he's going to be better than anything that you could get, as basically Deku just shrugs him off and says, yeah, sure, whatever, as he just takes a bite out of his apple. He doesn't know why, but he really loves apples, especially the red coloring of them, and so that's his favorite snack, and that's pretty much like what Deku takes to school every day. It's just a bag of apples. As Deku starts to really just lounge about, he's not really taking anything too seriously. he's just a pretty chill guy. As Bakugo's quirk awakens one day, as he starts showing it off to Deku, and Deku says, "Oh, cool, you can create explosions." Let's see. As Deku's eyes just stare at Bakugo, as Deku immediately is able to start copying Bakugo's power, as he's popping off explosions as well. As the teachers say, "Wait, you both have the same quirk? That's incredible. That's never happened." As Deku says, "Oh, no, I don't have the same power as him. I just copied his power." As they're like, "Wait, what?" As Deku just says, "I just looked at him and I could do it. It's pretty simple." As they doubt that, but they say, "Okay." As they tell Deku to go ahead and copy their quirks then, if he can. As Deku just stares at them, as one of them has a kind of electric type quirk, and Deku's able to perform the electric type. As they're just like, "Oh my gosh, this must be his quirk. He must have a quirk that can copy others." As Deku's just like, "I guess, I don't really know." As Deku is picked up by Inko and Hisashi immediately and taken to the doctor. And upon study, they determine Deku's quirkless. They don't know what type of power he has, but it's definitely not a quirk. And it has to do something with his eyes. It's like they're a gift from God or something. As Deku's just shrugs it off. He doesn't really care too much, as he's just sitting in the back seat and he asks for an apple, and of course Inko hands him an apple as he just munches on his apple while looking out the car seat. He really just doesn't care too much. There's not really anything that really interests him, and if he's got the power, so what? It's not like he's going to use it a whole lot. As Adam's just a pretty chill guy. And above in the sky where Deku's at, there is the place of the gods. As they're looking down, as they ask Zeus, "Are you sure that you're allowing Adam to reincarnate?" As Zeus said, "Oh yes, he was the one who gave me the biggest challenge out of the Ragnarok tournament. Humanity's earned their survival. Even though Adam lost to me and died, it should be impossible for him to reincarnate, yet I pulled a few strings, and I'm allowing all the fallen warriors to reincarnate down there on Earth. However, it won't be all at the same time, of course. We need to spread them out a bit. But that boy down there, he's the reincarnation of Adam, the first human, and his gift is Eyes of the Lord. With that, he's able to copy anybody's powers, abilities, even their fighting style. Even if it's humanly impossible, he'll be able to copy it. But overuse of it will lead to his death again. I hope he can avoid such a fate." As basically, we cut back to Deku. As the days go on, Deku's getting moved out of that kindergarten into another one. And this is where he meets somebody, a new girl that he feels like he's known before. As he walks up there to her, as he says, "Hello, my name is Izuku Midoriya. What's your name?" As she says, "Oh, my name's Kyoka Jiro." As Deku and Jiro, shake hands, and Jiro feels like she knows Deku. As she says, "Adam," as basically Deku says, "Eve." As they hug each other, everyone else is confused. They just introduced themselves as Izuku and Kyoka, yet they're calling each other Adam and Eve. some teachers catch on to this, but they ultimately just are like, whatever. It's puppy love. They'll just let them be. But Deku is very attentive to Jiro. And Jiro is very attentive to Deku, although Jiro's kinda not that smart, as she lacks a lot of common sense. But her quirk has manifested itself into being Jiro's canon quirk, as Deku says, so you actually have a quirk, as, Jiro would say, yeah, I do. Well, don't you? As he says, I'm quirkless. However, I do have a special gift with my eyes. As she would say, I wonder. As Deku would say, I'm still kind of, surprised about something. As, she says, what's that? He's like, who are Adam and who is Eve? As she says, that's a good question. Kind of felt natural to call you Adam. And Deku said likewise about calling her Eve. The two of them don't know what's going on, but at the same time, they'll figure it out eventually. And so the two of them go to the same middle school, and it's their final year, and they have to choose what high school do they want to go to. Which, in this, UA is a high school, so yeah, like canon. So Deku ends up choosing UA, and so does Jiro. And Deku only chooses UA because Jiro wants to go to UA. And people are already saying that, they're kind of an unofficial thing, that nobody would really want to mess with Jiro, especially not with Deku back there watching over her. As Deku's kind of gained a reputation for being the strongest student in the entire school. Out of third years, second years, first years, even out of some high school students, he's the strongest one. As there's no one that can really beat him. His physical strength is off the charts, as well as his speed. And of course, Deku's weapon of choice is brass knuckles, as that's just something he prefers to use all the time. But they pretty much know that if they don't fuck with Jiro, then Deku won't fuck with them, because he's a pretty chill guy. Nothing seems to really interest him, but hey, yes, he just wants to go throughout life just chilling. That's fine. Now, when Deku is called into the faculty office to talk about his career path choice, they ask him why does he want to go to UA, as Deku says he wants to be a hero. As they try to ask Deku why does he want to be a hero, he thinks about it, and then he has one very simple word for them. As all he would say is there any man who needs a reason to protect his own children? As they look confused as they say, wait, you have children? As Deku just says, don't think too hard on it. As they're like, okay, sure, whatever. As they just think that Deku's pretty much just suited to be a hero. His grades can get him there. He's pretty much physically able to get there as well, so they really don't care. They check off on his paper, Deku sent to class, and throughout the rest of the days, it goes by pretty smoothly. Since Bakugo's not really there to do anything to Deku, he's relatively peaceful, which means he never has to leave late for school, and he just walks Jiro home and then heads home himself. He never runs into the sludge villain, but it does get to Bakugo, and All Might ends up saving Bakugo. Now, with Bakugo, he actually catches All Might's eye as All Might starts to train Bakugo. And for the next 10 months, Deku really doesn't do much training, besides weightlifting, and stuff like that to get in very strong physical shape and some running, he mainly just chills out at the park or just listening to the wind howl, the birds chirp, everything like that, as he's pretty much just peaceful. He hangs out with Jiro as they do things. He helps Jiro with her training, and that's pretty much it. Like, days come, and it's time for the entrance exam. Deku and Jiro are sent to different testing sites as Deku enters, and of course, he just doesn't care. He sits wherever, doesn't talk to anybody really, as he's just eating his apple. He got there way ahead of time, so there should be no problem with him eating an apple. As he sits down, and Ida doesn't really yell at him, so there's no incident there. And since Deku really doesn't care too much about Uraraka, like, he doesn't really approach her. As Deku's mind, he's just like, wow, sure are a lot of them now. As he's just thinking back, and he kind of misses the memories he had of his old life. Like, he does have memories of everything, and one memory that keeps showing up in his dreams is him in a tournament type of setting. He's fighting this giant old dude who's incredibly built and shredded. Like, he just thinks about that as there's nothing else for him to really focus on, so he blocks it all out. Gates open, and Deku rushes out there as he just starts beating the robots down like one punch after another. He destroys so many, and honestly, like, he wipes out 90% of all the robots before anybody else can get a chance to go, as Bakugo is very shocked. He's only destroyed about a few of them, and this guy's already took out 90% of the total robots. And so they pretty much just have Deku just say that he's done, head on home. He's got more than enough points to qualify, and they at least want to release some more robots to give the rest of the contendants some type of a chance. So Deku ends up going home early. He doesn't care. But before he does, he stops by, picks up some more apples, and starts eating them on the way home. And that's when he runs into Jiro. She says that she got in, and she's pretty sure of it, as Deku hands her an apple. She bites into it, and she says it's really sweet, as Deku tells her that they were freshly picked apples that he just got. And she says that's amazing. And so the two of them head to the park. It's a beautiful day. It'd be a shame just to go home and end it. So they sit out in the park, look at the trees, snack on apples as Deku lays his head up underneath a tree and falls asleep for a bit. Jiro just sits there and watches him, as she is pretty much just captivated by Deku as well. As Deku is pretty just nonchalant as always. Days come and go, they both get their acceptance letters, and they're allowed into UA. Now it's their first day there, and basically Deku decides to sit beside Jiro, as Jiro's pretty much just wanting to meet as many new people as she possibly can. So yeah, Deku's just pretty much there. Now, when it comes to people trying to get to know Deku, Deku's actually pretty welcoming. He doesn't really care about people that aren't really just complete total dicks. Like, he'll be nice to everybody, but at the same time, it's not like he cares too much about them. He sees them as all his descendants anyway, so it's kind of weird trying to get to know them again and live amongst them again. It feels just so weird. Especially seeing how the girls are looking at him, it kind of freaks him out. It's knowing that they're his descendants, and yeah, he's not really feeling it. Like, if Jiro wasn't Eve, then, he would just not even be doing this much. But Aizawa gets up there, he explains everything, tells them that they have a short little amount of time, and it's time to go. So, basically, Deku goes out there, he gets changed, as everyone tells him that, he's pretty scrawny, but very cut up and shredded, as Deku just says thanks, as he heads on out. As all the girls stare at Deku, and Deku's freaked out again. Jiro comes up there and hugs him as Deku hugs her back. Other girls try, but Deku kind of just steps back off of him. As pretty much Aizawa tosses the ball to Deku and he says, go ahead, throw it as hard as you can with your quirk. As pretty much Deku does just that. As Aizawa just says, that's pretty good. As he sees 500 meters, he says, but you didn't use your quirk. I said to use your quirk. As he looks at Deku's files and says, oh, my bad, you're quirkless. Well, that's very impressive for a quirkless person. Well, next, as pretty much everything goes through, Deku ends up dominating the grip strength, though. And on top of that, the running speed, he just sweeps it. As everyone's just like, how in the hell? As Aizawa's just like, yeah, how in the hell? As pretty much he's caught off guard. But it's time for them to go home. So that ends that time. Some time passes as it's time for the Heroes vs. Villains event. Everyone's in their classrooms as All Might breaks down the door, saying that I am here. And today we're doing Heroes vs. Villains. But of course, before we get to that point, it's time for all of you to suit up. Yes, remember, clothes make the pros. That's what I was always told. As everyone goes out there and gears up into their hero attire. Deku doesn't really have that big of an option. Neither does Jiro. So, basically, what they're wearing is Deku is just pretty much wearing his normal canon thing, as that was just something that Inko designed up. As for Jiro, she's wearing the same thing as Deku, only pink. And that's pretty much how it goes. As people say that their outfits are kind of lackluster, as Deku says that's rich coming from the guy who literally looks like he's wearing an oversized diaper. As Mineta just says, point taken, as everyone laughs at Mineta. And so, pretty much the matches are set, as All Might kind of rigs the match to where Deku and Jiro aren't going to be on the same team. So, the matchup is, you have Deku and Bakugo versus Shoto and Jiro. As for one, they get ready to go, as Bakugo and Deku are the villains, and Shoto and Jiro are the heroes, as Jiro is kind of a natural flirt, as she kind of just starts flirting with Todoroki a little bit, as Todoroki actually flirts back because he's actually pretty confident, and if it gets her to work well with him, then oh well. As he tries to immediately flash freeze the place, Deku kind of just copies Bakugo's power and blows up the ice on his feet. As they're like, wait a minute, they both have explosion powers? As All Might's like, huh, I'm pretty sure he was quirkless, but this is interesting. As pretty much Deku says he'll handle this. Just stay back. As Bakugo says, but wait a minute. Here, I'm the great Katsuki Bakugo. I should be the one to go down there and teach that icy hot bastard a lesson. As Deku just says, stay here. I'll go out there and make sure it's safe. And I'll take care of this. As pretty much he goes down there, as he looks at Todoroki as he copies his power, realizing he has two sets of powers now. And so he shoots out ice to kind of match Todoroki, and then he sends fire out to melt Todoroki's ice while sending ice out of his own to freeze Jiro and Shoto and allow them to get the win because Shoto refuses to use his fire side. And with that, Deku and Bakugo would win relatively easily, as basically everyone's just like, wait, he used fire and ice, what the hell? As All Might says, okay, this is getting a little bit out of control here. And so Deku is asked to explain his powers and abilities, and Deku says it's nothing really that special. It's just when he sees somebody, he can copy their powers and their abilities, fighting style, pretty much anything about them except for their appearance and personality traits. As pretty much All Might just says, oh, is that so? As pretty much, you know, All Might, he's feeling kind of worried about this, since, you know, he didn't think that there would be something this powerful around. And All Might makes a note of it to kind of tell people. And pretty much that's how that ends. As everyone starts keeping a closer eye on Deku, as Deku just continues his day like normal. Not really anything much to it. And so the days pass and it's time for the USJ. Now, with this, Deku is pretty much just chilling, as ultimately this is where the good stuff's about to happen. So, yeah, he's just flirting it up with Jiro, as Jiro's flirting back with him, as Shoto's kind of feeling kind of salty that she's just back to flirting with Deku and not paying him any attention. And so he just feels kind of salty by that. He just feels used more than anything. And so he ultimately just decides that it's just how things are, okay? So, yeah. And pretty much he's waiting. It's time for them to get off. They enter the USJ and 13 starts her speech. Everything goes as normal. Kurogiri shows up with Shigaraki and Nomu. All the villains emerge everywhere. People are sent to different places. And this is where there's a big change, as Asui and Mineta are actually sent to the shipwreck zone with Todoroki, as Deku is sent over there with Toru to the disaster zone, and Jiro is actually sent over there with Bakugo, and Kirishima is over there with Momo and Kaminari. And so with that, you end up getting different results. Now, Deku's actually pretty excited about this, as he whips out his brass knuckles and he starts fighting away. Like, he just starts going ham. He starts beating the hell out of everybody. He's enjoying this. They're trying to hurt everybody in there, as basically Toru asks, why is he fighting so hard for? As Deku just looks at her, and all he can really tell her is that, does any man need a reason to protect his own children? As she just says, what do you mean? As Deku would just say never mind. That she has to know is that he doesn't need a reason to protect them. It's the right thing to do. And he'll fight for all of their safety. As he beats on every single villain, breaking their bones, severely crippling them, and putting a large majority of them in critical condition. He doesn't kill though. And so he ends up beating them into a pulp and runs over there to help Aizawa, which is going a lot better. Over there at the shipwreck zone with Shoto, he literally just freezes all the villains in the water and calls that good as he goes over there. So Shoto actually got there a bit before Deku, as Deku's not even too mad about that, as that's when basically Kaminari and Kirishima are actually taking out a large majority of the villains, because Kirishima's a much better matchup for this group of people, as Bakugo's helping Jiro take them all out by themselves. As Bakugo's actually flirting with Jiro, Jiro's flirting back, as Eve would do, except it's more of like a little playful teasing instead of actual flirting, as she kind of learned her lesson on what meant what with Todoroki. So she's not really trying to flirt romantically with Bakugo, just in a bit of a playful way. As that's when Bakugo just keeps taking them out, as Eve says, "You're not using your full power, are you?" As Bakugo would say, "How did you?" She says, "I could sense it in your movements." As basically Bakugo just says, "Mind your own damn business, fucking bimbo," as he walks off. As Jiro blasts the villain that was about to attack Bakugo from behind, as he just says, as she just says, "Yeah, well, this bimbo just saved your life, jerk," and she walks off. And pretty much Momo, Kaminari, Kirishima are able to take out all of their people. So ultimately the students are faring a lot better in these matchups, as Shoto prioritizes rescue like Aizawa intended him to do. So that's what he's doing, as Deku's just fighting everything, and he sees that this Nomu thing is about to attack Aizawa. So he copies everything of Nomu. The regeneration, the shock absorption, the speed. He copies it all. As him and Nomu get into a drawn out slugfest. But Deku has the edge. As not only does he just copy the Nomu, no, he copies Shigaraki as well. As he doesn't know quite what its power is, so he just touches it, as he ends up just erasing it, like the Nomu crumbles away, as it's just hitting Deku with its other hand while it's slowly decaying. Nothing's really working, as the Nomu's in a state of panic, and Deku just hugs it and says, "Don't worry, it's okay. Your time of suffering will be over soon. Just lay there and go to sleep, you poor child of mine." As Shigaraki just says, "Get us out of here now," as Kirigiri warp gates them out of there, and that's that. That's the end of the USJ. Everyone gets out all right, with no injuries, nothing, and All Might doesn't get injured, which means he still has a lot more time left in him. And so that's actually where I'm going to leave this off for today, as I would normally go longer. However, I am very heavily sleep deprived at the moment, and yeah, at the time I'm recording this, I've been up for over 24 hours, so I'm going to try and get some sleep, because if not, that's going to cause some serious issues. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Look forward to the 8K special when we hit that, and when Zother hits 10K, I'll be doing something for him on the channel, as promised. So, as always, I've been your Emperor, Crown Fiend. Peace.